Okay, so this is the final video of this class, and similarly to what we did in here with financial reporting, in corporate governance, we have 6 points that we need to cover. So again, probably 6 paragraphs are enough, 1 paragraph for each point. So first, and this is probably the most confusing one from the 10 of them, it says that in corporate governance, the objective of corporate governance is to show that the objective of the director of the firm, or at least the board of directors, is on performance and not on conformance. And this seems like very philosophical sentence. But the meaning of this is that then somehow in the report, when you write this about corporate governance, you need to show the reader that the director or the board of directors focus their efforts on strategy, on this. The idea is that the board of directors are working really hard. They are working every day on improving strategy and on finding new ways to do business, finding new products, finding new ideas, and not really into the other thing, which is efficiency. Is more the idea behind this point is to show that the board of directors are thinking about doing new things rather than being more efficient, rather than reducing cost, rather than this kind of things. The idea behind this is because economic sustainability is about surviving in the future. So if you can reduce risk, that's amazing, that's great, that's very positive. But if you are not looking into the future, it means that probably after a few years, you will be out of business. So that's the logic. So thinking about performance is thinking about future ideas, future strategies, trends, products, all of these future-oriented things, and conformance is the opposite, is thinking about reducing cost, being efficient, things like that. And then the second point is about expand from a shareholder perspective to a stakeholder perspective. And this is something that maybe you are aware of, because remember, maybe in the 70s, 60s, organizations and firms focus only on shareholders. I mean, like people who own the shares, the people who own the company financially. But now this shareholder idea is very old. Now we talk about stakeholders. Stakeholders are not only people who own the company, but also employees, clients, providers, the government, everyone else around. So the idea is that how can the organization can take care of the stakeholder? And again, here in this paragraph, you should be able to communicate that. What evidence do you have that the organization is thinking about the stakeholder and not really the shareholder? First thing. Then achieve sustainable performance objectives in all areas and from the 3 perspectives. So this is quite a summary of everything. I think that corporate governance should focus on objectives at different levels, not only at top level or the bottom level, at all levels, and on the 3 dimensions. So again, I think this is really big. This is very difficult to show. When if you ask me to do this, if I were you as a student and you were the professor and I was a student, I would find it very difficult to show in only 1 paragraph how can this be possible. But some hints or some suggestions to do this is to find the mission and values for the organization and try to link that with the 3 dimensions. Try to make us try to think if the values of organization can be applied to the 3 perspectives and to the different organizational levels. And if you can apply that, then you can assess that they are working in this 3rd point. Then number 4, integrate governance and sustainability in the organization's strategy, operations, and disclosures. To be honest, I think this is almost exactly the same as point 3, because in here, it's about achieving the objectives, and in here is about setting the objectives. So it's more or less the same thing. I think you can, maybe in here you can focus on what they have achieved, maybe some of their good results, and in here is more about their plans and their objectives. Then 5, and I think this is very important, and I think it's something that's interesting to read in every integrated report for sustainability information, is sustainability accounting, is to create ethical and competent organization culture. This is very difficult to find. I think it's also very difficult to assess, but again, it's try to find ways, try to find evidence, some news, some decisions that the organization took in different events. For example, something that comes into my mind really quick is that During the pandemic, Cinepolis was one of the companies that tried as much as they could to keep the employees being working on the firm. I think that that's one of the firms that tried as much as they could. And that kind of reflect an ethical culture. That can be an example. You can take a look at different things about ethical performance. And then finally, we have improved organization communications with all stakeholders. And I think this one is quite easy because you can search for news, you can say search for some news release from the organization, and you can take a look at what they're talking about. So if they are talking about sustainability things, like again economic things or social things or environmental things, it's because they are okay with this. So this is kind of a wrap up from everything, because economic performance in the end is all about money, but also putting people into work using resources. So economics is kind of cycling what we already learned. So this is kind of the subjective perspective, this part of the qualitative aspects that are in the report. I know they're difficult to report, and I think some of you might tell me like that's why I study accounting, because I like specific things to calculate and to show. But that's what has happened. Maybe 150 years ago, it was difficult to value liability, I don't know, a bond or something, and people try they use different methods until they have like a more coherent and specific way to measure it. So probably it's the same in here. Right now we are a little bit vague, and it's difficult to assess for these kind of things. And maybe in the short future, in the near future, we are going to be able to assess and to evaluate this in a more quantitative way and more even clearer way. So this is the end of today's class. As I said, your homework is based on kind of apply these 10 points in a real life organization. And also to tell me, and this is very, very important, to tell me who are you going to, or who is going to be your partner. Or I told you that it's possible to have groups of 3 or even 4. I think 4 is the maximum for the final project. And which company are you going to use for the final project? Remember, the final project is to kind of elaborate a very basic sustainability report and to give some advice to that organization on how they can improve their sustainability efforts. So remember, meet in groups of 4, 3, 2, or even individually. So the homework will be about, tell me who are the group members and which organization are you going to use. Again, I suggest it's better for access and all of these kind of things to use a local and smaller organization, but if you have access to a large organization, it's okay. So that will be the 2 homeworks. Tell me about your project and apply what you learned today in a real life organization. So that's basically everything for today. Well, I see you in Zoom if you have any questions.